Hi, and welcome to the second lesson in my series of lessons on chords for electric blues guitar. And I'm redoing a series of lessons that I did a while back and trying to improve the audio and video quality and hopefully the quality of instruction too. I've removed the old lessons, but these will take their place if you were using those. In the second lesson, first lesson we took a look at bar chords, and now we're going to start looking at some specific basic chords that you need if you want to play electric blues guitar in the old style. So, starting out with seventh chords. The basic seventh chord that you'll use a lot in a lot of different places is the A7th. And this chord looks like this. And this, like a lot of these chords, is movable. You can move it to a lot of different places on the neck. This is the basic position, A. So I've got an open A as a bass. I've got my first finger on the second fret, barring the fourth, third, and second strings. And then my ring finger is going to get that note, third fret of the first string. And there's my seventh, A7th. That's one that you really need. Now to move that around, wherever you have a second position bar chord, so let's go to C. This is a second position C bar chord. We learned bar chords in the first lesson. If you go to the ring finger position, which is the 5th fret, and make that A7th shape, that is a C7th. So here's C, C7. This is A, A7. This is a second position bar chord D. So we're going to go to the bottom of that, which is where the ring finger is. And that's a D. We can move this all over the place. And this is a chord that you hear a lot in country blues, acoustic blues, but a lot of electric blues guys use it too in different ways. So that is an A7th chord. The purpose of these lessons is basically to learn the chords. If you want to use them, I'll show you some progressions and we'll talk about that. I've got some basic videos on chord progressions and rhythm patterns and things that you can look at to see how to use some of these chords. So that's an A7th shape. Another one that's really common is your D7th. D as in dog, which looks like this. So these are what I call your first position 7th chords. So here is the 7th chord. This is a D7. The open 4th string is my D. And this is the 7th. My first finger is on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. My second finger is on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. And my ring finger is on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. Now you can move that pretty much all over the neck. If we're playing an F, that's an F7th. This is out of a first position bar chord. Start from where your ring finger is, 1, 2, and make that shape. That is the 7th note. This is an F7 chord. That's an F7th. So this note is really the heart of the chord. If we're playing in G, there's my first position bar chord. There's my G7. That's where I play that one. Here's A. Here's an A7. That's an A7. A lot of times you hear this in like Muddy Waters stuff or some other guys who use this chord. Something like that, that kind of riff. So that is a 3-string chord or a 3-finger chord that is used a lot in electric blues. It's a 7th chord. Now another form of a 7th is an F7th shape. And to do this, if you remember the bar chords, we had an F bar chord looks like this. If we want to make that a 7th, we just take our pinky and put it on the 4th fret of the 2nd string. And that is movable. So if we have a G bar chord position, put the pinky on the 2nd string, 6th fret. A, pinky goes to the 8th fret, 2nd string. Now an easier way to play that is to just play the top strings. And so I put my first finger, if we're going to do an F, on the 1st and 2nd strings at the 1st fret. My second finger on the 3rd string at the 2nd fret. And my ring finger on the 4th string, which is an F, at the 3rd fret. There's an F, and I can put my pinky in and have have a seventh. So if I move that to G, got that. If I move it to A, B flat, C7, D7, E7. It just follows the same pattern as the first position bar chord. So that's another seventh shape. So far, we've got A seventh shape, which we can move around on the neck. We've got D seventh, which we can move around. And now we've got F seventh shape. Another one that's very commonly used is the C seventh shape. And this one you use a lot in a lot of different places. This one is also movable. So you make your basic C chord, first position C chord. First finger on the first fret of the second string, second finger on the fourth string, second fret, and ring finger on the third fret of the fifth string. That's a C. Now if we take our pinky and drop it in on the third fret of the third string, we've got a C7. If we move it up two, we've got a D7th, couple more, E7th, put it right here, F7th. How do we know what it is? Let's go back here to the D7th. Look at where my ring finger is. It's on the fifth fret of the fifth string, which is a D. So that tells me that's a D7. Here, third fret of the fifth string is a C. C7, G7. I know that the 10th fret of the fifth string is a G. And so that's a G7. That's why it's so important that you learn, especially on the 6th and 5th strings, even on the 4th string, what note you're playing. And that helps you find the chords and know what you're playing and know what to play. So that is a C7th. Looking at my list over here. Another one, the last of the basic 7th chord shapes, is what's called a B7th. So here's a B7. If you're playing in the key of E, you're going to use the B7th a lot of times. So this one, I've got my first finger on the first fret of the fourth string. Then my second finger is on the second fret of the fifth string, which is our B. Then my ring finger is going on the second fret of the third string, and my pinky on the second fret of the first string. That is a B7. That's a very important chord. So we've got the basic sevenths. A7, D7 shape, C7, F7, B7. I think I got them all in there. Now there's some other 7th chord shapes that you can use and that you hear quite a bit in electric blues. One is what I call a Magic Sam 7th chord. And this is a chord, let's take it in the key of, we'll do it in C. So our C7th, we've got this C7. Then we've got this one. And I call that a Magic Sam 7th. That's how I remember it. Because it's used a lot by Magic Sam. Other guys used it too. Eddie Taylor used this chord, other people. So what I'm doing here, the difference, here's a normal C7th. What I'm doing is taking my ring finger and moving it from the fifth string to the third string. I'm putting it on the third fret of the third string. My pinky is going to go on the third fret of the first string. And then with my thumb, I'm going to wrap it around, if you want the bass on this, and get the fifth fret, or the third fret of the fifth string. You hear the difference. So here's a D7. Here's a Magic Sam D7. And Magic Sam would do stuff like, and go into a tune, or use those chords quite a bit. That's another 7th, and you move it just like you would move the C7 shape. So paying attention to the 5th string. So if we went D7, my thumb is getting the D, E7, G7, all the way up and down the neck. Let's see, there is, well, that's mostly the 7th shape. There's A couple others that are interesting and that you might run into with specific guitar players. And if you look at some of my classic licks lessons, I go through some different ways that guys use seventh chords. Earl Hooker had some different ways of playing some seventh chords, as did some other guys. But those are the basics. So if you want to get started playing electric blues guitar, seventh chords are essential. And I would highly recommend that you learn all those shapes. Again, to learn these, what I would do is just practice each chord, take your hand off, try to put it back on as fast as you can. Now if you're just learning these, you may have to put each finger in position one at a time and then strum it. So there you're doing a C7th, and make sure it sounds good. If it doesn't sound right, chances are your fingers aren't really fretting the strings properly. Or it could be your fingers are on the fret instead of in between. You should get it to sound clean where you can hear every note. Once you can do that, then you want to start switching chords. So if you can just make a chord and make it sound good without thinking about it, then you want to start switching. So try switching from a C7 to an F7. That one's hard for me. To an A7, D7, F7th here, which is a G7, B7. There's one more I didn't show you, which is an E7th, which looks like this. This is one that you need. First finger is on the first fret of the third string. Second finger is on the second fret of the fifth string. Ring finger is on the second fret of the fourth string. And my pinky is on the third fret of the second string. That's an E7. And that is a chord, you don't really move that one up and down the neck, but it's you play it right here in the first position, which is, you're going to use this chord quite a bit. Forgot that one. You can also play it by taking out the ring finger and using your second finger to get both the fifth and the fourth strings at the same time. And there's some advantages in doing that in certain songs and certain styles. Your open sixth string is your bass note there. Now when you're playing electric blues, the bass isn't as important as it is in acoustic blues, but it's still helpful to know what your bass strings are for each chord. And again, that's something as we get into some specific guitar players and songs and things like that that I'll point out for you. So work on all those seventh chords, including the E7, which I almost forgot. Learn the chord and then practice switching back and forth. And when you get good at that, then you're ready to tackle some songs. Find some songs that have seventh chords in them, and I'll recommend some when we do our chord progressions lesson here at the end. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. Hope it's helpful. I'll be back with the third lesson in this series of electric blues chords, and we'll take a look at ninth chords. See you then.